Welcome everybody to Unity in the Heart of Austin at Casa de Luz, Austin, Texas. Welcome to our Zoom friends, our Zoom family. We're glad that you're here. And we're going to get started with our opening song with Lissy. So please, we're going to pray first. Thank you.
Let's pray.
Let's pray.
My daily prayer.
Sondra in front of it now.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so we take a deep breath. We feel the life force moving in and through us. Breathing out, we relax and let go. And once again, breathing in. Giving thanks for the expansion of our minds and our hearts as we open to the love that is shared in this room. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In the name and through the presence of the indwelling Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sondra. Now for our opening song.
Stay up.
So stand up, everybody.
Remain standing, please. So here I am.
Remain standing and greet.
Ready? I'm glad you're here. So glad you're here. The fellowship is sweeter just knowing you're near. It's so good to see you. I hope that it's clear. Everyone loves you. We're so glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. So glad you're here. The fellowship is sweeter just knowing you're near. It's so good to see you. I hope that it's clear. Everyone loves you. We're so glad you're here. Everyone loves you. We're so glad you're here. Greet your neighbors.
All right. Let's all have a seat now. Everybody
Now we can
chat in the Zoom room, the chat room. Chat to your friends there and wave hello. Give yourself a hug. I have two announcements to make before we get started with our affirmations. Number one, we're going to have new member orientation after church. The restaurant is to be determined where the majority wants to go. And you'll tell us why you want to join the church, and we'll tell you about the church. And the second announcement is we're going to have our annual congregation meeting on April the 23rd. So be here or be square to vote in new members. We have two members that are dropping off that finished their term, and we're getting in two new members for the board. Thank you, board members. There we go. And I'll no longer be president.
You go, girl.
So now we have our affirmations. We use affirmations as a tool to create our reality. Let's affirm our prosperity. Together, God is my instant, constant, abundant source of supply. I am blessed with health, wealth, happiness, wisdom, love, and success. Let's affirm our vision for our spiritual community. Together, with our thoughts, words, and actions, we make a powerful and positive difference in Austin, Texas, and in our world. Thank you. Our speaker, Sondra, Reverend Sondra, will give us her lesson today. So our special music song leader is Lissy. Come on up.
This is a wonderful song that was kind of made popular by Pete Seeger. My life goes on in endless song above earth's lamentations. I hear the real though
far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear its music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? While though the tempest loudly roars, I hear the truth it liveth, and though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing?
That was beautiful. Thank you. Well, thank you for being here this morning. I always love coming in. Whoa, I'm going to make a mess here, perhaps, but perhaps not. I think I won't. I think I won't on second thought. So I want to talk about restoration and how that happens, and how if we do a restoration of our mind, body, and spirit, we recognize God's will in that small voice, and we have an experience that places us in the direct energy of God. It's a wonderful place to be because you don't have to really work at making things happen. You can let them be. So in November, I was in Cuba, and there's an interesting thing in Cuba. They have all these old cars from the 50s and 60s, and they've restored them, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're really gorgeous. And I thought, if they can restore cars like that, and we don't restore our cars, we throw them away and get another one, but there's restoration. How about if we spent time restoring ourselves, just as they spend time restoring the cars? You see, they do not have parts for these cars. They can't order parts. They can't call up the local auto place. They have to create the parts. They actually metalsmith them. I'm not quite machine them. Yes, they make those parts so that they can keep those cars running, and they paint them wonderful bright colors. And if you're there as a tourist, you get to parade around the streets. A group will get into a group of cars and go around honking and waving, and just being really cool. How about if we spend some time getting to that place within, shining ourselves up, replacing any parts that we need, and go out and wave and live life fully? Are you willing? Are you willing to restore that place within you where you experience the fullness of life? So I was out planting yesterday, and I have these sticks. They look like nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Just like dead sticks, but they're not. They're plumerias. And all I have to do is cut these ends and put them in the dirt, and they will grow. But I want you to look at them. Do you see that life in them? Yeah. Do you see life in them when you look at them? No, they just look like nothing, right? Mm-hmm. So it is. We can think about this. We don't necessarily see the healing life force. We don't necessarily see the energy of the divine, but we know that it's there because we have evidence of it after we put this in the dirt and leave it for a while, right? So just keep that in mind as I go about our talk today. It's kind of a last minute thought, but I just couldn't resist it. So if we're going to restore our mind, body, and spirit, what's this mean? So about our body, we basically know, right? It's kind of the clothes we wear. We know when we're taking care of it and when we're not taking care of it, how we need to take care of it. We don't always do it, but we know about it. I think there's very few people here that really don't have an idea of how to do that. And then we have our mind, and our mind's a little trickier. You see, our mind actually means God. Our mind is God. Our mind is that creative place, spot that things happen, where ideas come, where we have the ability to make a decision, how we're going to use that idea, what we're going to do with it. That's that place where the creative energy flows if we allow it. If we allow it. When we get quiet and allow ourselves to listen. So I want to talk a little bit more about the mind, because to understand the universal mind, we need to observe the action of our minds. What is your mind doing right now? Probably off a little bit going, what is she talking about? And who cares? And or maybe you're creating something. You know, I've got this idea in my mind about something that I want to make, my metalsmithing. Oh, so I can kind of go off there. We can go off in the mind because it is the starting point, the actual starting point of all that is. It's the place where we meet God and have the ability to take action from God and with that God energy. And yet, if I said, tell me what God looks like, describe the mind to me, what would you say? How would you describe it? It's pretty hard to do, right? Mm-hmm. You can talk about what it does, but just like that life force in that plant, it's pretty hard to describe, but you know it's there. It's kind of that place where you have faith. You know that it's there. So the mind is the seat of perception of things that we see, that we hear, that we feel. And it is through mind that we see the beauties of the earth, the sky, of music, of art, in fact, of everything. It is the silent shuffle of thought working in and through the cell and nerve systems that weaves one harmonious whole in which we call life. So we weave this together, our thoughts, our feelings, weave it together, and we call it life. And we call it abundant life if we're aware of the beautiful abundance that is. So the mind has three phases. It's the conscious mind. That's the one we know about right now. We know what we're thinking. We know what we're looking at. We know what's going on. There's the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind's a little bit of a tricky fella because the part about the subconscious mind is that it remembers all that has happened. It remembers and remembers, and it stores all the memories, and there they are. And oftentimes we come from our subconscious mind instead of making a decision from our conscious mind. And then we have that most important one, which is the superconscious, and it is called God. It is the superconscious that transcends both the conscious and the subconscious. It harmoniously works together in this experience of life. So we call on that superconsciousness when we're in a place that we know, that we want to experience the fullness of life. Maybe we're in a bad situation and our subconscious is telling us all the bad things that are going on in life. and our consciousness is distracted by this. We call on the super consciousness, God. We call on whatever name you use for God. We call on that place, that space where we can get out of our ego self and be in an energy of positive life force. Last week, I talked about Jesus and that he went to the man who was laying on the bed and had been there for ages. And he said, "Do you want to be healed?" And then he said, "Pick up your bed and walk." Well, you see what happens here is that he required the man to do something. He didn't say, "Oh, here, let me lift you up and carry you." He didn't say, "Here, let me lift you up and hold you while you walk." We have responsibility in our lives. We have responsibility in our minds. We have responsibility of how we're going to live and what we're going to do. Things happen, absolutely, but how we respond to them is what we have the opportunity about. That's called changing your mind. You know, if something's going on you don't like, can you change your mind? And how does that happen? How does that work? Do you have to do something really hard? Or do you just, yeah, sometimes it can feel really hard. So changing our mind is making a decision that we're in a place that we don't want to be and we're willing to be someplace else. And I like to call that turning away from. I don't like what's going on back here, so I'm going to turn away from it and turn to what it is that I want. That's changing your mind. Looking at what it is that you want in life, looking at that affirmative place that binds us to a living process of love, of joy, of peace. The conscious mind is a form of false ego. So we don't really want to spend a lot of time there, although it is necessary at some point to look at what's going on there so that we can begin the healing process. So healing, how do we heal? How does healing happen? In 2009, there was a gentleman named Howard Shiska, and he felt his whole body start to shake. And he tried to ignore it. He denied it. He said, "Can't be happening." He Googled it. Don't we all Google everything? It said Parkinson's. He said, "Oh no, not Parkinson's." Once again, he went into denial. A few weeks later, he went to the doctor. Sure enough, Parkinson's. They told him the medication he could take. They told him they could handle it with medication. Of course, many of the side effects of the medication were pretty difficult. So he went home and he prayed and he thought about this and he made a decision to heal without medication. He made a decision that he would work with God to bring about healing. Now, I think most of us know that Unity was founded by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, and Myrtle had a healing, and people saw her healing. She had tuberculosis, and she was told she would have 2 years to live. And she went, "I don't like that." She heard she was a child of God, an expression of God, and she began prayer and meditation. And she healed completely from her tuberculosis. So here this man is, and he decides that yes, he too can heal. So he went about this positive lifestyle that he stopped everything he was doing. He rested, and he rested a lot. Not only did he rest, but he took time to meditate and to do things that he loved to do. He found joy in life, and he healed. And it's been 12 and a half years, and he is still free from Parkinson's. I went and Googled just to make sure that this was continuing on. When I read this story, it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Amazing. But he just had this healing completely and absolutely. Another story Annette Mognon, and she had a lump in her shoulder. She was diagnosed with lymphoma, and she went about finding every alternative medicine she could. She went to India and she began meditating and doing some of the medicine over there. And she healed her yoga. Oh, she was also doing yoga. And her yoga master said, yes, I believe you're healed. She thought she was healed. She returned back home. And how often does this happen to us? People said, that can't be. You can't have healed. You're still sick. It's going to come back. Does that ever happen? You've got an idea in life and you're ready to go for it. And somebody comes up and says, you can't start a new business. You can't, whatever it is. So you know what happened? She got sick. Not only did she get sick, she got very sick. And she ended up in the hospital. Her organs began to shut down. They told her husband it was going to be a very short time. But somewhere within her, she knew that didn't have to be. And she could hear them talking, the doctor and her husband talking, although they were way down the hall. She knew that her brother was on a plane coming over to meet her, to see her. She knew what was going on, and she knew that she had the opportunity to make a decision about her life, that she could decide to live, to use all that she had learned previously and live, or she could let it go. She decided that, okay, she was going to go ahead and live. And immediately her organs began to regenerate. She had restoration. She began to make a change and heal. And the doctors went, can't happen. We don't get it. How is this possible? But we know it is possible, right? And two things happen here. I want you to kind of see this trend, is that she had faith. She had faith this could happen, and she had the willingness for it to happen. Those two powers that, will and faith. So with her willingness, it's like she was willing to pick up that bed and walk. You have to be willing to take responsibility and not give up and go, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Oh, I'm going to die. They said it. They said I was going to die. I'm going to die. But we can go into that state of knowing that there's something more. Now, I always feel like I have to do a disclaimer here when I'm talking about healing, because we know that one of the aspects of healing is letting go of this body. It is an aspect of healing, because sometimes it's important that we let go of the body so that we can be born anew. We can be on the other side. We can, whatever happens next, we can let go of this body that's no longer serving us. We can also make a decision to let it support us still. So Myrtle Fillmore, in her healing, people looked at her and went, how did this happen? And we want this to happen. And this is what's going on in my life. Can you please help me? Please pray with me. Please, this is it. And she would write letters, and they have these letters that she's written. She talked over and over about peace. She said, we have to be at peace with our bodies. We have to be at peace with our friends, our family. We have to be at peace with our memories. That's that subconscious mind. We have to be at peace with our life partner, our finances. We have to be at peace with old age and death. Each letter written to her, asking for guidance about a life problem, she started with, you must find peace. You must find peace. We must experience that peace. How? So this is one of the things that Frances Fox says, that of reading all of Myrtle's letters and putting them together. She said, I often think these days that we're all in too much of a rush, trying to do too much. and still failing to discern and do the very things that don't mean the most. So often we think and we do, but we don't go to that Christ consciousness. So much that we think we need, but really we don't desire from the consciousness of the Christ, of our spiritual resources. So I don't know about you, but when I read that, it really hit me. I know that I'm always going around doing. Now, it's pretty important that I begin the day with getting quiet and saying, what is mine to do? What is mine to do today? What's really important? So I can get off on a tangent and I can go, and it's a waste of my energy. And I know it is. So we get quiet, we rest, we listen. We listen to what is ours to do. We allow ourselves to get in touch with our bodies. If our bodies need a nap, what should we do?
Take a nap.
Take a nap. How many of you resist it? Yeah. So to really look at just taking her, Myrtle's comments and looking at how she did restoration, slow down, discern how God is guiding you right now. Right now. And if you're looking to become whole, then know these things. Slow down and listen to God. Slow down and listen to God. To truly be healed and quickened by the life abundant, one must forget the past and the limitations of the past and offer every thought, every ounce of energy to spirit to be used according to God's direction. According to God's direction. We look for the beauty that is in the earth. We look for the beauty in people. You know, oftentimes we get around somebody and we start looking at all the ways they're different than us and kind of complain and look at them. And how are we alike? How are we alike? Well, for one thing, we're all breathing, we have a heartbeat. So we start out with a very basic aliveness, and we're alike in that way. So it's not giving that human consciousness free rein. It's not allowing our thoughts to go off on the negative, but to use our denials. I deny the power of something and I accept the good. So I deny the illness. I deny this illness. I deny this poverty. I deny this lack of love in my life. And I receive health and wholeness. I receive prosperity. I receive incredible love and companionship. Denial, let it go. Affirmation, bring it in. Focus on that. If you have an illness or you feel like there's an illness coming up, every little cell in your body is happy. If you sing that song, and it's such an easy song, just sing that song. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Sing that over and over, allowing ourselves to change our mind, recognizing that our body is the temple of God. Our body is a living temple of the Christ presence. Our hands, our feet, our arms, we are the activity of God. So it's important that we get quiet and do that versus go off on our own with our false ego. One of the ways that, of course, we can always find a place of peace, at least I can, is in that loving service. I think most of y'all do service around here, so I know that you find that, because that is a power of the mind where we find a true peace because we're out of ourselves and we're into the oneness of the universe. That one mind, the true one mind of God. When we're in service, we move out of our limited mind and embrace the full mind. It's always there. I mean, it's not like we're moving around to have it, but we just shift our focus. We shift our focus. God in us as the very life and substance that we use, and our use of his gifts increases our ability to use and direct them. That goes to say that we are able to decide and increase that being in alignment with God. We are able to make a difference. We can begin to practice it and practice and do this and practice it. God is love, and we make divine love into loving. God is substance, and we take the substance and that reality of it, and we bring it manifest into the world. I know that all of you have experienced that place where you've gone, oh, I need a dryer. Oh my God, I need a dryer. I really need a dryer. And somebody comes up and says, let me buy you a dryer. You focus on something and it happens and you go, wow, how did that happen? Restoration of the mind from lack to acceptance. And it does require willingness. It does. We take and claim our oneness with divine wisdom, and we express it through us, and we make wise decisions, and we take wise action. You know, when you're taking wise action versus you're just out there flitting around going, oh, I'll just do this. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I'm just going to go do it. And when you go, oh, let me be focused here for a minute. And then you know, and you know that you know. So the light of life that glows from heart and faith is in every cell of your body, every cell of my body. The restoration of the body is possible when we allow ourselves that place in space, that quiet time. We live in a crazy, crazy world. It's important to come apart, to take that time, to allow the light to brighten. You know how a candle can get down very small and almost go out. We need to stop and let that candle have an opportunity to flame up, to shine bright, to be who you truly are, to be the Christ presence, the light that you are, that you were meant to be. You know, Myrtle Fillmore heard the words, you are a child of God, and as a child of God, you did not inherit illness. As a child of God, you have inherited the goodness and the beauty. Not that there won't be bad things that happen, but we have an opportunity to make a choice, to make that choice of if we're going to be here or if we're going to be here. Which choice do you want to make? How do you want to restore your body, your mind, your spirit? What activity do you have planned that'll serve you and serve your heart? I ask you today, are you willing? Are you willing to care for your heart? Are you willing to care for that God space? Are you willing to stop? Are you willing? That I say namaste. We will sing and then we will be doing a meditation. And in that meditation, I'll take some time in the quiet. So just know in advance, we're going to be there for a bit in the quiet. Every heartbeat is a reminder that God is and the Christ presence is within us. Every heartbeat. From the Lenten lessons, health, real health, is from within and does not have to be manufactured in the without. It is a normal condition in humankind, a condition true to reality. The first step of every spiritual healing is using faith. Faith. And the second step is to be open and receptive to the stream of healing life. To be willing to experience the stream of healing life. As we become quiet, as we become willing, we are releasing error thought. We are cleansing the mind of all beliefs that no longer serve us. Through the exercise of faith, our word, our spiritual quality, they're all fused into one unity with the power of the Christ. And the healing is miraculously accomplished. We go to that quiet place, that special place, that place within. We close the door to be in the oneness, in that spot where we can use our denials and our affirmations, where we can call forth spiritual reality, where we let all trouble and problems and illness drop away. It is here that we hear the words and we feel the words. Through Jesus Christ, God's energy floods my whole being, and I am healed. I am healed on every level. Allow yourself to feel that. I allow my mind to rise in consciousness, to lift from the everyday into the superconsciousness. My whole being is healed. Let's affirm that together. My whole being is healed. My whole being is healed. My whole being is healed. Feel that. Give thanks for that. Allow yourself to know that it is true. And as we return our attention to this time and space, let us be in that higher consciousness, that super consciousness. And as we look around the room, let us see all that we see anew. Let us see with new eyes. Let us see people with new eyes. Let us see the furniture with new eyes. Pictures with new eyes. Let the restoring energy of God move through you. And so it is. Namaste.
Now, as we gather together our gifts, let's say our offering blessing. Together, divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, in oneness all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me, let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yeah. You sing some more of my little stuff, every little stuff. Right now.